went to a Dutch university as an exchange student, and I was really surprised that most of the focus was so much on the East Indies, the Dutch East India Company. Very little attention was made for the West Indies, and even the discussion about colonialism or slavery was somewhat minimized or marginalized. And so I questioned that a lot and asked why. And the answers I got were quite surprising in that, well, there's not that much known about this. It's in the past, it's a long time ago. There was no black history in the Netherlands. Everything happened in the colonies, so there were no direct connections. And that's kind of what started my journey. What we do is we travel either by boat or horse carriage or as a walking tour throughout the city of Amsterdam, exploring what I call this hidden history in plain sight. Really looking at how did empire become what it is today. Looking at the locations and sites of memory in Amsterdam that really show us this hidden history of the black presence. So on monumental buildings, on city canal houses, in the museum, exploring how are people of color represented on these monumental buildings or canal houses. This is a perfect example of what we experienced on a tour. We're standing on the backside of the Royal Palace, which was built as the City Hall in 1648. The palace, as you can see, the tin pan on the back, really symbolizes empire. So you have the Atlas, which is the world, is on our shoulders, and right underneath that you see the top of the ship and the female personification holding her hands out to receive all the treasures of empire being brought to Amsterdam from around the world. And every continent is visible. America with the Native American headdress. You have Arabs representing the Middle East and Africa, African woman holding the head of a lion. You see elephants, all these symbols that came from other places, even products. So you see the Native American holding a tobacco pipe to symbolize the products that were cultivated in the colonies. The building where we're standing now is, you can see the motif of African carvings on the building. They're holding tobacco leaves, so the products that were used, that they cultivated, are now used as a street sign to identify this building. They're sitting on bales of tobacco, holding the leaves, and you know they're African because they've exaggerated their features, right? Give them really full lips, woolly hair, very muscular bodies, almost grotesque kind of features. So from this distance, you know that they are black. We're actually standing in front of the building that was owned by Cornelius Tromp, not to be confused with the Donald, spelled differently. This is with an O and not a U. His importance in Dutch history. 9 ships are named after him. He was the admiral in the Royal Navy. And he was really very much involved directly and indirectly with transporting Africans. We were just talking about this slippery slope of using language and the way that language is framed. When you say a slave trader, people have this immediate connotation of transporting Africans from the Gold Coast to across the Atlantic to the Caribbean. But there are other ways of being a trader. He was responsible for transporting children as wedding presents to other to other empires. And then in his gable stone, there is this African boy holding his helmet in a very submissive, childlike position, which is often how enslaved peoples are depicted. It's not that the one-sided story is wrong, it's just incomplete. And if you only use that one-sided story told from the perspective of the colonizer or the enslavers or empire, then you dispossess a whole body of people who were directly descendant from the other side of that story. So when we talk about reversing the gaze, we're talking about looking at it from a different side of the table, looking at it through the different eyes of the other, the colonial other, if you will. It gives you a much, I think, broader perspective of history, the legacy of that history, affects what we still are living with that's still tangible today. Because I don't think we can really resolve the issues that we face in societies without going back into this past and looking much more closely, not just from the Western European perspective, but from the global South.